Hello you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Jamila. What's good? How are y'all doing? How's your week going? How's everything? I don't even know what the title of this video is gonna be, but you know, when you're in doubt, you gotta ask ChatGPT. What I'm gonna do is I'm literally gonna copy and paste my notes and be like, what should the title of this video be? Let's see what it says. My ChatGPT says 10 critical insights before saying I do. Honest advice on marriage and relationships. Oh hell no. We're gonna say, give me another title. We're gonna see what it says. What the hell? Today we're going to be talking about 11 must-know truths about marriage and choosing the right partner, but this is the Muslim edition. So the first thing I want to talk about before we even get into the video is that I know how often marriage is spoken about in the Muslim community. It's extremely oversaturated. Sometimes I'm honestly like, yo, this is too much. Like, we got to find other things to talk about. But these are things that I want to share that have honestly really changed my mindset on marriage. I'm the kind of person that loves to learn from other people's experiences, and I always ask, very detailed or in-depth questions. And I've spoken to so many people who have gotten married. These are some things that I've learned from talking to them and also from my own experiences. The first thing that I would like to emphasize, especially considering that I am in the Muslim community, is to not get married when you feel like it's time for you to get married, but rather to get married when you have found the right person to marry. I feel like if you're a woman and you're over the age of 20, you have experienced people coming up to you and talking about marriage. Oh, when are you going to get married? Or even people make dua for you. That's the first thing they'll say. They'll be like, may Allah bless you with an amazing spouse. I feel like all of these things, whether they're implicit or explicit, definitely add a little bit of pressure on us, and they make us think that like, oh my god, I need to get married before I reach this age. But something that I have learned is that marriage is not the end all be all. There is more to life than getting married. And I also feel like people underestimate how bad things can go if they marry the wrong person, and they put emphasis on the time they're getting married rather than the person that they're getting married to. Something that I have also realized is that the timeline that we use to kind of like map out our lives is not accurate. Not everyone is going to live until they're 80. Not everyone's going to live until they're 70, Also, to add on to this, a person can get married when they're 22 and God forbid their spouse passes away when they're 26. So that's only 4 years of marriage. Another person can get married at 36 and live with their spouse for 40 kids, and they have children and they get to see their grandkids. So like I said, life is not linear. And sometimes I feel like we try to cheat off of each other's exams while not realizing that we're taking completely different classes. Imagine I'm taking a math exam and I'm trying to cheat off of a person who's taking an English exam. Like, how insane would that be? And this is the same thing. So like I said, it's very important to focus on the person you marry rather than the time that you get married or the age you get married. So I feel like we need to redirect our focus a little bit, especially considering the fact that there really is no perfect time to get married. The second thing when it comes to marriage that I want to talk about is how important it is that his family likes you and that your family likes him. I feel like a lot of times people underestimate how important their in-laws are, and they realize this once they get married because their judgment is clouded, in the beginning while they're in the honeymoon phase. Like I said, I have a lot of family members who are married, and I have seen the ins and the outs of marriage. And I have both women who are married and men who are married, so I have been both the woman's side of the family and the man's side of the family. And I could tell you with full confidence, it is so important that his family and that your family get along and that both have positive perceptions of you guys. Love is not enough, honestly, when it comes to marriage, and that is something that a lot of people struggle to grasp, but love is genuinely not enough. I feel like love is what brings you together, but love is not what keeps you guys going. If you don't have family that supports you guys, and if you don't have family that pick you guys up when you guys are going through a rough patch, I feel like it makes it very difficult to keep going. I think it also affects the sustainability of the marriage. So if you are talking to someone and you feel like for whatever reason your families will not get along or that your family will not appreciate your spouse, then I would, take a step back and really think about it. Of course, I also want to add that there are some family members who are a little bit, a little bit wild, and they'll tell you that they don't like your spouse for reasons that go against Islam, like, for example, their ethnicity or other things. Then I think at that point it is okay to go with your intuition and to still marry this spouse regardless of how your family feel, and inshallah make dua that, your family will still warm up to this person despite how they feel about them right now. The third thing is that I feel like a lot of women think that their spouse is going going to come and save them. I have spoken to a lot of women who are not yet married, and even women who did get married, and I asked them, so what things changed or what things are different from what they expected them to be? And one thing they all talk about is that they thought that their spouse or that their marriage was going to come and like fix a lot of the issues that they had prior to that. I think this is something that's very interesting about humans, and I think it's that we always think the next thing is better, that the next thing is going to fix the problem, that the next thing is going to be the thing that takes us out of our current circumstances. And oftentimes that is not the case. Your husband has his own things to deal with. He has his own traumas, he has bills to pay, he has things to do, dreams that he hasn't accomplished. So to expect that one person is going to be able to solve all the problems that you have is just not reasonable, honestly, and you're going to be disappointed because there's no way that's going to happen. And don't get me wrong, I think your husband can help you facilitate an environment where you can flourish and you could really focus on the things that you want to, but do not put too much expectation on the things that will change just because a person came into your life. Like, you're still going to be the one that has to actively work towards the things that you want to change in your life. The fourth thing that I think is very important, and some people might criticize me for this, but attraction is so important. And yes, I say this as a woman. I'm standing on 10 toes. But I hate the fact that a lot of women get backlash when they say that they want to be attracted to their spouse. And I feel like I've experienced this too, where people be like, oh, attraction isn't that important. His height isn't that important. As long as he's a provider and as long as he does XYZ. But when it comes to men, there's this rhetoric that, oh, men are visual beings, they have to find their significant other attractive. I'm like, if I'm not attracted to you, I'm not gonna, it's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how else to say it. It's not going to work. And when I say I need to be attracted to my husband, I don't mean like, oh, he has to be the most attractive human being in the world. Like, every time I see him, my heart stops beating. But there needs to be some level of attraction. You know what I mean? Especially considering certain things that don't need to be discussed. This kind of relates to what I said earlier, but the fifth thing is that you need to learn how to communicate and talk about your feelings before you get married. I don't care what nobody says. If you don't know how to communicate, how are you going to be able to navigate this world with a partner? Having a partner literally means that there's another person that you have to think about before you do anything. And how are you going to be able to do that if you are not able to have very transparent and honest conversations and you're not able to communicate with each other openly and transparently? I feel like this is something that a lot of people think that they're going to work on once they get married, but it's just, again, that's not going to work. I feel like, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of family members and friends and stuff like that we could work with to develop these skills. I feel like even for those of us who aren't married, we could develop these skills by working on them with our siblings and our parents and our cousins. There are always so many opportunities given to us where we could work on our ability to communicate. And those of us that don't take advantage of these opportunities are, in my opinion, those of us who are going to struggle when we get married, especially in the first 1 or 2 years. The sixth thing is that when you think about getting married, please don't think about your wedding and what your hair is going to look like and your wedding dress and all the people you're going to invite. All of these things literally last no more than a few weeks. This is why it's so important that we focus on the staying married part more than we focus on the getting married. Like, literally, getting married is the easiest part about getting married. But all the stuff that comes afterwards, where you literally have to fight every single day to stay married, that's when you really get tested. That's the part that we need to be focusing on. So we really need to keep this in mind when we choose partners, because you're not only looking for a partner that you could get married to, but somebody that you could literally live the rest of your life with. The seventh thing is to not wait until you get married to start your life. You don't know what the future holds. You don't know what circumstances the future is going to bring. So you need to make sure that you take advantage of your life today. I've heard a lot of women say, oh, once I get married and once I'm able to move out, I'm going to be able to travel and I'm going to be able to do XYZ. But subhanAllah, marriage comes with its own challenges and tribulations. So don't think that your life is magically going to get better, or that you're going to have more time or more resources in the future once you're married that will allow you to do the things that you've always wanted to do. Some of us, subhanAllah, might not even live that long to get to experience those things. This isn't even only with marriage. This is literally with everything. We cannot wait until things get better or things change for us to start our lives. What we have today is enough to do everything that we ever wanted to do. And the crazy thing is, we don't realize that we're never going to be this young. We're never going to be this free. We're never going to have this much time on our hands. And there's going to come a time where we're no longer only responsible for ourselves. So we really need to take advantage of what we have right now. The eighth thing is that we need to have hobbies. Hobbies are so important. Hobbies remind me of the times when we were kids and we were literally engaging in different activities and we were in like a constant state of flow and we were so fulfilled because the only reason we were doing those things was out of pure enjoyment and nothing else. And that is so important. Even if you're literally 50, you need that in your life. You need to have something that you could always come back to decompress, and something that enriches your life. I feel like another thing that I love about hobbies is that they give you a sense of community. For example, let's say you love watching anime and you join a Discord that has people that also enjoy watching similar shows as you. Now, as a result of your hobbies, you've got the opportunity to meet people that you wouldn't have had the chance to meet. And you also feel fulfillment because these people have similar hobbies and passions as you. I feel like as humans, it's very important for us to feel seen. And I think one of the easiest ways to do that is by engaging in activities with people that appreciate the same things that you do, because by default, they will also appreciate you. The ninth thing is that he prays and that he has a relationship with God. I don't care what anyone says. I believe that there is no way a guy is going to stay loyal to you if he is not able to stay loyal to his creator. The same thing. If he can't commit to God, how is he going to commit to you? Like, actually make that make sense. There's no way. So for me, if a guy does not have a relationship with God, then I just know by default that it's not going to work. The 10th thing is that if he has unhealthy coping mechanisms, it's also not going to work. And this means that if he drinks or if he smokes, that's a deal breaker. And when I say this, I mean this in the least judgmental way possible. I understand that all of us have been through different things and that life is hard. So I understand that it's not always easy to have, healthy coping mechanisms. And before y'all think I'm talking crazy, let me explain why this is a deal breaker. I feel like if I was to marry a person today that smokes or drinks with the hope that they are going to stop eventually, what incentive do they have to stop? And I'm not opposed to marrying somebody that used to drink or that used to smoke, but they need to have stopped before we started talking. One of the reasons why this is a deal breaker for me is that I have seen a lot of people get into relationships and get into marriages with people that, either drink or smoke, and they go into it with the mindset of, oh, these people are going to eventually stop. But once they get married, they never stop. And this isn't only about drinking or smoking, but just a rule of thumb that I have is to make sure that I am okay with the current state that my future partner is in before I get married to them, because you never know if a person is willing to make the changes that you expect them to make once you get married. So you have to be 110% okay with who they are today. Do not be looking at their potential. Do not be thinking, oh, after some time they're going to change, or after this happens, this is going to change. That's never the case. And of course, some people can turn this around and say, well, yeah, you can marry a person that you think is perfect and then they change. But at least then you can't blame yourself. If a person switches up once you get married, then that is on them, rather than you having already seen the signs and you still choosing to ignore those and get married. Because at that point, the only person you can blame is yourself, because you're the one that was focusing on their potential rather than who they are today. The 11th one is a bonus, but if he's not 6'3" or taller, if he is not financially stable, and if he doesn't have a beard that connects, and if he is not willing to give me 500k meher, that he is not the one. In full transparency, my meher used to actually be $1 million, but I'm doing a 50% discount because of the current state of the economy. So if you have a brother, a cousin, maybe even an uncle, depending on how old you are, that can fulfill these things, then holla at me. You can find me on Instagram, JamilaXO. Yeah. This is definitely a joke or whatever. You know what I mean, darling? But anyways, you guys, if you have made it this far into the video, thank you. I love you so, so much. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Make sure you guys also like and comment. I'm going to see you guys next week, darlings. Bye, guys.